how difficult it must be to live in the United States without being able to speak English. My company, Wonder Builders, collaborated with the English as a Second Language Department at Springfield Technical Community College to obtain a National Science Foundation Cyberlearning grant. This allowed us to experiment with integrating a 3D virtual learning environment into the curriculum. Through the use of avatars within the 3D world, instructors are able to simultaneously teach language skills, along with a whole host of others, including technology, public speaking, collaboration, and, most importantly, career awareness.
Using the 3D world gives our students additional opportunities to interact in real time in a realistic setting with native English speakers, for one thing.
First, it allowed me to focus on learning styles. I was able to make observations about my students and how they learned that I would not have been able to necessarily discern in the classroom environment.
I find that my students are even more engaged because they're excited. They want to know what new thing we're going to learn in class that will help them further their English speaking skills.
One of the most successful projects that I completed with my class is a career fair exploration. My students, which are level 2, worked with level 4 students to begin a whole series of conversations about goal setting in terms of setting career goals that were attainable and manageable and realistic. As faculty, we selected 10 different career paths for our students, which began with certificates, which would allow the students to then obtain associate's degrees as well as bachelor's degrees. So we thought of them as stackable career pathways. The unique feature of this is that their exploration began with setting goals, moved on to independent research about these certificates, and then culminated in the students working with our media department to conduct real-world interviews with the faculty members. So they worked together in teams of 4 to 5 students to compile sort of the best questions to reveal what they needed if they wanted to pursue that particular certificate and career. Those interviews were then condensed to 1-minute clips, and they used those to create career fair booths in World. And at the end of the semester, each student, or even teams of students, did presentations for the entire class of those 10 career pathways.
When students create a new booth, they select Fair Booth and click the Insert button. In the Fair Booth configuration window, they input booth name, any info text, the color theme of their choice, and the number of panel frames they wish to have on the booth. Finally, click Create. The booth will appear with the settings specified. At this point, students can add photographs to the panels they created by dragging and dropping images into the indicated areas on the booth. They worked collaboratively to create a virtual multicultural fair.
Click on the floor of your fair booth, select properties, click on fair booth configuration, and then click apply.
Using their avatars, students presented in their booths, honing their presentation skills and learning about one another's cultural backgrounds.
Okay, so here in the activities gallery, what I would have my students do is to find certain pictures, and then when they click on the picture, then they would be responsible for typing in what it is that they see based on the grammar points that we were focusing on at that time. And this was a successful type of experience that the students had because they found it fun to try to run around the gallery and find the specific pictures that they were looking for, and then to go ahead and to type in the information that was necessary.
Listen. He's looking something interesting in the computer or on the computer. He's looking something interesting.
My class did a scavenger photo hunt at the end of the semester. And basically, it was the opportunity to use all of their conversation skills that they had used in World in terms of practicing question forms, information questions, and modals. And then they went out in the real world and went around campus interviewing faculty, employees. They also used their smartphones to capture those interviews and depict them using Instagram. And then when they came back from those scavenger hunts, what they did is they created similar booths to the career fair, but this time the focus was in terms of just doing a presentation of those interviews. So they would select 8 different photos from 8 different visits, and they went from various places, from finding a faculty member who would speak to them in another department, to the art museum, to the health center, and really places they had never been on campus. And so it really broadened their scope and understanding of the offerings of the college, and hopefully made them feel a bit more part of the college and able to partake in its offerings, as well as giving them confidence in terms of having conversation with other professors or faculty or even other students beyond ESL students. At the end of the semester, when they created the photo display of the scavenger hunt, they then did presentations in class as teams as to what they learned when they had the various conversations. So each student was responsible for presenting 2 of the conversations from those interviews and what it is that they learned.
And we also, as a class, were looking at 2 pictures that were on the wall. One is of a man's face that is made out of vegetables, and an alien creature that is made out of vegetables. So we had a lot of fun where the students were trying to remember the names of the different vocabulary words, the different foods that we don't really talk about too much in class normally. So that was something that was fun, as well as them trying to make sure that they use the proper grammar in order to express themselves. And the final project that we had done, not really project, but I would have to say activity that was very well received, was when the students played Simon Says and getting acclimated to using the gestures function of the avatars. We first played it as a class, and then I had the students split into 2 groups, and they just really had a great time relaxing and having fun, and again, still being mindful of the grammar, but in just such a relaxed way.
A very specific use and utility of the 3D virtual world is that it really focuses students' attention solely on their listening comprehension and doesn't allow them to use those facial cues when you're trying to develop and highlight the listening comprehension solely.
When it came to working with the Wonderland platform, it definitely helped students with their comfort level of using the computer. So they learned how to access the internet. They had to type in the exact URL, and that was something that all of them needed practice with. The whole login process, using the mouse and the keyboard, all of that type of work was something that was not used quite often for most of them. So that was something that was valuable for all of those skills that will be necessary for the students when they need to word process in the future when it comes to their writing assignments. So all of those were definitely very, very helpful.
First of all, I think that it had a very beneficial effect on their confidence level. Interviewing department chairs, my goodness. So I think in terms of language skills, there was definitely a benefit in terms of increasing their confidence.
It really definitely engages the students and creates a more collaborative environment. The most unexpected part of using the cyber world in the ESL classroom for me was just the sheer joy that I saw on my students' faces when, especially when they were just introduced to it, to this new tool that was going to help them improve their English. And they have such a thirst for knowledge when it comes to working with the cyber world that I really found it so much more fulfilling than when I normally teach ESL, which is an extremely fulfilling job. It really was a truly enjoyable experience.